Hi, and welcome to episode 5 of How to Do Digital Marketing, where we help people learn how to do digital marketing and implement it for their business and professional life. How to Do Digital Marketing is your go-to platform for tips, guide, resources, coaching material, as well as courses that can help you learn more about internet marketing and apply it in practical manners for your business and for your professional life. This is episode 5, where we cover the last part of the fundamentals of digital marketing. In episode 1, we looked at the digital marketing career opportunities. In episode 2, we looked at the components of digital marketing. In third episode, we looked at digital advertising and understood what PPC advertising is all about. The fourth episode was on understanding what are the various online terminologies that people use when they speak about digital marketing, whether it's web technologies, whether it's social media, whether it's digital advertising or email marketing. And in this episode, which is episode 5, we are going to touch upon the last aspect of digital marketing from the fundamental aspect, which is essentially we're going to talk about today in episode 5 on social media marketing. Understanding what the social media marketing process should ideally be. We'll also touch upon briefly on email marketing and on content marketing. And this would comprise the entire gamut of episode 1 to episode 5 on the fundamentals of digital marketing. If you haven't yet watched episode 1, 2, 3 or 4, I would urge you and recommend you that you should watch this 4 fundamental videos which will give you an overview of digital marketing, and that will set the context for the forthcoming episodes of digital marketing. So let's understand what is social media marketing. So social media marketing is essentially leveraging social media networks like Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube or any other millions of social media networks which are there, like for instance Instagram, and leveraging it for your business. But to determine which social media network should you be present on, you should approach it from a business perspective and understand what kind of a business are you. If you are in a business to consumer, which is that is selling directly to consumers, then you would need to look at social networks like possibly Facebook or let's say Instagram or let's say Pinterest. But if your business is a business to business, which means that you are selling a product or a service to other businesses, then you should look at strong B2B social networks. LinkedIn is the biggest formal B2B social network. Plus, there are other such networks like probably you can have Glassdoor, which is a very, very popular one. And of course, there is Twitter also. To be effective on social media, one needs to follow certain guidelines. The first and foremost guideline that I could urge all the people who are listening to this is that please do not buy followers. You need to build followers. There is a practice today that a lot of people offer to sell you followers. And there are a lot of clients I come across who actually ask that I want to build 1,000 followers. I want to buy 1,000 followers. Please remember, you cannot buy loyalty. You have to build loyalty. And social media is all about building followers, not buying followers. Once you have built the followers, you need to engage with those who follow you. Because as a leader, you're setting yourself up for people to follow you. And once they start following you, you need to engage with them. And one way to make sure that you engage with them and they continue to follow you is to remember that you should not be talking the company language, but you should be talking about what is their interest. For example, let's say you are talking about you're a travel agent and you're selling tickets, and that's your prime business. If you have your social media posts only talking about tickets, it is not going to be of much interest to people who follow you. You need to understand that why is somebody buying a ticket to go to, let's say, New York or let's say London or let's say Buenos Aires. He is going there to either for a business purpose or for vacation. So his interest is what are the business opportunities over there in let's say London, or what are the vacation spots that he can look at. That is the consumer interest. So your social media posts, your social media content and communication should largely talk about his consumer interests rather than what you want to try and sell. And therefore, it is very important to invest time in building content. And as we along in this episode 5, as we go further on, we will look at the content marketing aspect. And please remember, one of the most important things in social media is that you need to have patience, you need to be aggressive, and you need to continuously market yourself in terms of new content and new posts. In terms of the process that one needs to follow, there are essentially 6 processes that you need to follow. The first is you need to set your social media objective in terms of identifying what is it that you want to achieve. Once you decide that, everything else follows from that set objective. The second is, once you set the objective, is you need to select which is the most appropriate social media platform for your business. Like I talked about earlier, it depends on what is your kind of a business. So if your business is a B2C or a business to consumer business, then there are certain social media platforms that lend itself easier for B2C marketing. Facebook is obviously a very good medium to consider, but apart from Facebook, there are mediums like Instagram, there are mediums like Pinterest, which are also very strong B2C social media networks. Snapchat is another great social media platform in case you're targeting very young adults or teenagers, because that's where the teenagers are today, all on Snapchat. However, if you're looking at B2B, you may want to consider platforms like LinkedIn or platforms like Twitter. YouTube is also interesting, both a B2B and a B2C platform which you could consider. Once you have set your social media platform in place, you need to look at what is the communication strategy in terms of messaging style, tonality, colors, fonts, and graphics. Please remember, people consider all this very important intrinsically when they look at a particular brand or a particular product or a particular service. Your company, your brand should have its own tonality. It should not be a copy of anybody else. And a lot of the tonality, the colors depends on the audience that you're addressing. Because if you're looking at targeting at women, for instance, you will need to look at colors which appeal to women, the tonality. If you're addressing a senior audience, you need to look at tonality in terms of addressing a senior set of audiences. And then based on the communication strategy, you need to then look at what is the kind of content that you can potentially put out on your social media network. Content is anything which could be a post, it could be a blog, it could be a visual, it could be a promotion, a contest, infographic, it could be anything. What you need to decide is, depending on your audience, what is the kind of content, number one, that you can develop given your budget and given your resources and the time available with you, and also in terms of what is the content that your consumers like to consume or the manner in which they want to consume. Possibly your consumers like to consume video content, in which case you will need to develop video content. If your consumers prefer textual contents, then you need to develop blogs which so people can read. And basis this, you will develop what frequency. Is it going to be a daily content which you're going to put up? Is it going to be weekly? Is it going to be monthly? Again, different social media platforms require you to have a different frequency. Twitter is a very short and fast moving social media platform, which means that you need to look at your content on Twitter coming at least 15-20 times in a day. Facebook, at least one content a day is a must. On LinkedIn, however, you could get away with probably one content in a week or two content in a week. So your social media platform will also define what is the frequency of content that you need to put up. And a good way to plan this out is to have a content calendar. The social media team is the next thing that you need to address, whether you have the capability, the capacity, or the resources to do it yourself, which is a DIY, or you rather hire a freelancer or an agency to do it for me. That is one thing which you need to look at, whether you want to do it in-house or you want to outsource it. And the last but not the least is the fact that anything that you do on the internet can be tracked and therefore whatever that you do on social media, you need to track what has been the impact of all the communication, all the messaging that you've been doing on social media. So there are various tools that allow you to look at this. HubSpot is a very popular tool that can allow you to track as well as help you in the content planning. Cloud is there. Social Sprout is another such tool which can help you manage and track your social media efforts. So that's more about what social media was. Now let's quickly take a look at email marketing, which is obviously a no-brainer. Everybody needs to do email marketing. It's the most spammed industry in the world. But however, I am not recommending that you should be spamming. There are much more impactful measures that you can use in email marketing, which will give you a much better ROI. So the starting point of any email marketing starts with building a prospect database, which we will look in subsequent episodes. You could look at how you need to develop this database, where will you develop it from, and how can you continuously build a database without spending too much money on it, which can be used for email marketing. But there are broadly very widely used techniques. One is a lead capture form, which is there on your website. You could look at opt-ins, you could look at subscriber list, you could even look at renting out email opt-in databases to send out emails to your potential prospect. Once you develop a database, you need to develop a campaign, you need to test it out, and then you need to broadcast it out to your audience. And last but not the least, as I always keep saying in all my episodes, you need to monitor, track, respond, and rectify your errors, because this digital marketing is a learning curve. You have to continuously experiment with new things to understand what is working and what is not working, and use the data to fine-tune your campaign. What are the key metrics? Very important things. If you're doing an email campaign, there are 3 key metrics that you need to bear in mind. One is, what is the bounce rate? This is the number of emails that bounce back. Any tool that you use for email marketing, whether you're using Zoho, or whether you're using MailChimp, or whether you're using Netcore, or even whether you're using any third-party tool, these 3 basic tracking metrics are to be looked at when you send out any email. The first is, if you've got 1,000 database and you send it out, what percentage of emails bounce back, which in terms of invalid email ID, which is again measured as a percentage and measured on total emails sent out. The second is open rate, which is the number of users who have opened your mail. So if you send out 1,000 emails and 100 people opened it, that means you have a 10% open rate, which is again measured on total emails sent out. The last is obviously the CTR, or the click-through rate, which is the percentage of users that click through any link on your email, measured again on total emails sent out. So to give an example, if you have sent out 1,000 database and 10% of them opened it, which is 100 people, and let's say 10 people out of the people who opened it and read it clicked on it, so only 10 people clicked on it. So your CTR is then 10 over 1,000, which is your CTR percentage. So these are 3 metrics that you need to monitor very carefully, because your objective is to reduce the bounce rate, improve the open rate, and improve the CTR rate to get the best optimal ROI from every campaign that you're doing. Which means that if you want to really seriously consider doing email marketing, you need to automate your email marketing and look at using an email campaign management system that allows you to create email templates, send it out, broadcast it out, and track it. An automated email campaigning management system, there are several of them. Zoho is a very popular email campaign management system that you could consider to use. You could integrate it to a website. MailChimp is the world's largest email campaign management system and very ideally suited for small business. And of course, there are a host of other third-party email campaign management systems that you could use. The advantage of using an email campaign management system is, number one, you could create email templates and save it on the dashboard so that you don't have to recreate them every time. You could integrate that with your website so that whenever somebody fills up a form on a website, it it automatically goes into the email database, and you can also schedule your emails maybe 15 days in advance, 20 days in advance, so that you don't have to remember sending out the emails. And you also email campaign management system allow you to track things like open rate, bounce rate, click-through rates, and many other metrics which you would find extremely useful. So my recommendation for all of people who are in business is please automate, and automation actually helps you save money in the long term. Moving on, let's look at content marketing, which is today the king of digital marketing. And everything revolves around content today as far as the internet or online marketing is concerned. What is content marketing? It essentially involves the manner or the process or the messaging that helps you reach out, influence people, engage people, and helps you ultimately sell products and services through an inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is largely getting people to respond to you rather than you calling out to them, because it is a proven statistical fact that when people reach out to you, the chances of you converting them is much higher than you when you reach out to somebody else. And content marketing essentially helps you to drive a lot of inbound marketing leads. So content marketing is the crux and the core of anything that one does in digital field today. Why is it so important? You can actually attribute the growth of content marketing is maybe about the last 3 to 5 years, and it's largely grown because of two very clear factors. The first factor is the changes that took place in the Google algorithm, which no longer give emphasis only to keywords. Earlier, the entire Google search engine was largely operating on the principle of its keywords on the website. But that has changed, and today your position or your rank position or your SERP position or your how effective SEO is largely dependent on good quality content. If your content is not of good quality, there is no chance that Google will ever rank you in the top 10 results. You will be in the top bottom results. And so therefore it's very critical that the content that you have on your website or outside your website on social media or any other place has to be of high good quality content that is valuable to the people you are targeting. The second important factor is information. We are moving into an informational age. People want information, and therefore the more information that you provide to users, the more likely you are able to get inbound inquiries. This particular video, for example, is an informational video. It is not selling you anything. However, the fact that you are watching this video and listening to it allows me to engage with you on the aspect of digital marketing, which is the service that How to Digital Marketing provides. And therefore, this content is of value to you. And today, there are multiple sources of information. So as a business owner or as a marketing professional, you need to look at how does your content fit the informational needs of your target audiences. So what is content marketing? Let's take a brief moment to actually explore what is content marketing and how does it actually work in terms of your website or your business. So content marketing essentially is of two aspects. One is the creation of the content, and second is distribution of content, and we'll spend a few minutes discussing each aspect of this. And as I mentioned, it starts with the website and extends itself to all forms of messaging. So whether you are messaging on social media, or whether you're messaging on your blog, or whether you're messaging on a review site, everything is content, and therefore content needs to play a very core digital part of a digital strategy when you're trying to build yourself on the internet. When you look at content in terms of creation of content, today people consume content in various formats, and you need to understand that not everybody consumes content in the same format. Some people consume content in the form of videos, some people consume content in the form of articles, there's graphics, there's infographics, newsletter. In a B2B scenario, case studies are extremely highly consumed content formats, white papers help you to drive thought leadership, presentations, slide share for instance is a format which only presents presentation and people consume that in large formats. Infomercials, microsites, webinar is another content format, webcasts and podcasts. As you can see, there are several content formats which are available in which people consume. What kind of content format should you be looking at? That will depend on number one, if the kind of business you are in, the kind of consumer audience, the kind of audience you're targeting, your ability to develop that content, and also your ability to develop that content and put it out, distribute the content in the frequency that it is required. So these are 4 or 5 things you need to bear in the back of your mind when you're developing content or creating content. Plus, it also a lot depends on the social media platform that you have decided to be your primary social media platform. So if your primary social media platform is, let's say, YouTube, video content is a must. If your primary social media platform is LinkedIn, then definitely you need to look at custom graphics, you need to look at articles, you could look at infographics, you could look at case studies, you could look at white papers, you could look at webinars, because you're addressing a B2B business through LinkedIn. Once you've developed a good content, it's very equally very important to distribute it. Otherwise, like I said, creating content will only make you happy. It will never make your customers happy or your prospects happy because nobody has seen it. You have to show it to people to drive inbound inquiries. And therefore, distribution of content is very critical in the digital marketing space. So how do you distribute content? There are various ways to distribute content. You have on one head, you have your social media platforms. So whether it's LinkedIn, whether it is Facebook, whether it's Twitter or any other Pinterest, Instagram, you could look at that. There are also content curation platforms like Digg, for instance, inbound.org, Discuss, Delicious, Mashable. There are lots of content curation platforms who are aggregators of content across by subject matters. So if you are a subject trying to become a subject matter expert, you could look at content curation platforms and distribute your content in these platforms. Then there are blogs and directories. On top list, blog listing, blog directory submission is another form by which you can get your content out to a much larger and wider audience than those who are currently visiting your website. You could also look at discussion forums like Quora or Yahoo Answers, Reddit, LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, and any community forums. They are all discussion points where your customers are existing. And last, you could look at blogging, which is guest blogging sites. You could have blogger marketing sites. You could look at reaching out to influencers to get your content published and redistributed to a larger audience. But why are you doing all this? That's for the simple reason that the number of people who come to your website is limited. But your customer audiences are there present in several other hundreds and thousands of places. So if you are as a marketer, you need to go to where your customers are and put your content and put your messaging onto where they are present, rather than say that I will only put my content in my platform and wait for everybody else to come to my platform. That is unlikely to ever happen. You will need to go out to these platforms and distribute your content in those platforms. And as we will see later on when we're talking about SEO, this is a great way to build backlinks, as I explained in episode 4 or episode 4 on online terminologies. Backlinks are essentially links that help people come back to your site. So these are the various distribution channels which you could consider, but which channel you will choose will depend on your business needs, your resource availability, and of course your budget. So this brings us to the end of episode 5. You could find more resources, tips, guides, courses and coaching programs in how to do digital marketing. Please subscribe to our channel or visit www.howtododigitalmarketing.com and subscribe to our newsletter so that we can keep you updated on the latest videos, tips and guides that we keep coming out with. Thank you and have a nice day.